Okay, hello first graders. I usually pre-plan my artwork and I test it out first and then I do a second version, third version, make a video, but guess what? We're gonna see how this goes. I have never done this before, so you are going to try it out for the first time with me, and we are going to be doing an art piece with a polar bear in the Arctic tundra with the northern lights. So here are supplies that you have at home that I think you're going to want to have on hand. So the first thing is a Sharpie and a piece of blue construction paper. If you have an extra piece of white construction paper from an old supply bag, grab that. Otherwise, any kind of scratch paper will work, or cardboard, anything that you can actually tear. And I'll show you why you're gonna tear in a minute. You all got a box of chalk. And so the colors I chose for myself to take out, I chose 3 colors. I chose a pink and a yellow and a purple. If you wanted, you could also maybe choose a green. I'm looking through here, guess what? My whole chalk box broke apart. Like everything in here is little tiny, teeny pieces, but it doesn't matter because what we're going to do with the chalk, you don't need a full piece of chalk. So you might want to just dump everything out. I think I'm going to put a green aside. I might want to use a green too. It doesn't matter. You can use any color. I would not use a white or a brown for the northern lights because typically the northern lights are full of color. I did set aside a white for some snow at the bottom of my artwork. I also thought I might maybe want some crayons. So here are the crayons I picked out. I picked out a gray crayon, a black crayon, and a white crayon. I don't know for sure if I'm going to use these. I'm going to see how it goes. So like I said, never done this before and I'm going to do it with you. So here we go. This is live Miss Elliott artwork. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure I have all the supplies I need, and then I'm gonna move them aside so they are out of my way. Oh, and you know what I forgot to tell you? Because we're gonna be using chalk. Oh no. Oh my goodness. Guess what just happened? Did you hear that big crash? Well, that would be Rascal and Bodie. They literally just knocked over every single thing I had on my counter by accident. I'm not sure what just happened, so excuse this. Oh my goodness, you should see my floor. Okay, I'm moving this aside. Because we are going to be working with some chalk, I do want to make sure that you have a tissue, toilet paper, paper towel, doesn't matter, something that you can use to rub the chalk once we put it on our paper. So I have my paper out here ready to go. We are going to be using Sharpie, so I always like to remind you, if you're working on your dinner table or a counter, you might want to have a piece of cardboard underneath your paper because sometimes the Sharpie will go through and it could go onto the table. So be mindful of that. Put an extra piece of paper underneath, cardboard. Just make sure you have the okay when you are using the Sharpie because this stains and it will not come out. The first thing I'm going to do on my blue piece of paper is I'm going to decide where I want to draw a polar bear. I don't want to draw a huge polar bear because I want to have room for the sky and the northern lights, and I want to have some snow down here. So I'm thinking my polar bear is going to be maybe like right here, about this size. So the polar bear is not going to be super detailed. That's not my focus here. I want to just add a lot of color and other fun things to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with drawing the polar bear's head. So it's going to kind of reach over like this. And it's going to be more of a, how do you call it, like maybe a cartoon version of a polar bear, so it's not going to be super detailed. I want whoever's looking at my art to know it is a polar bear, so it's just going to be a kind of a fun, whimsical, I guess you would call it, polar bear. So here's the head, and then the body's going to stretch out over almost to the end of my page and kind of come down. Here's going to be his rear and one of his legs. I'm going to go back up to the head, and I'm going to stretch the head down like this, so you kind of have a neck. And then I'm going to draw another line going down to the ground. This will turn into his front leg. So I'm right now envisioning his front leg and his back leg, and then the two legs will kind of be behind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line here going down, and this will be his front leg. And then his back leg is just going to kind of be shoop, like that. It's nothing fancy. We're just doing, I almost want to call this box drawing, where it's just very minimal lines. And then I'm going to connect his stomach from his front leg to his back leg like that. And then I'm going to draw his second leg kind of peeking out, and then second back leg that's peeking out here too. I haven't drawn his paws. I'm going to turn this into snow, or like maybe some ocean water. Haven't decided yet. I am going to draw his ears. So I'm going to have, I think, one ear here, and then maybe another ear here. So it's kind of like he's looking towards us. I'm going to have his nose. Probably about right here. I'm going to color that in with my marker. And then I'm going to draw his two eyes. Very simple. We're just making a very simple polar bear. I'm going to draw a line at the bottom of his legs. And I know it looks weird right now, like he doesn't have any paws, but it's because I want him to be standing in some water. So I'm going to draw kind of like a little, what do you call it, like ocean-ish, like a, you know, when you go to the beach and you see like a body of water, that's what he's standing in right now, his little body of water. So I'm going to draw a few lines that kind of go out beyond his legs, so you can kind of see, oh, he's standing in some water, some ripples here. I'm going to draw a horizon in the background, and basically a horizon, that is a fancy word for saying when you look into the distance and you're looking at a landscape, or, you know, when we were studying the prairie, for example, you would see a line that goes across the paper, and this is where the land meets the sky. So anything below this horizon line would be the land, and anything above would be the sky. I'm making sure that I have a lot of space for the sky because I'm going to do some northern lights. In the Arctic tundra, you don't see a lot of trees. However, sometimes in the background you might see like some mountains or some hills. It might be like icy areas. I'm going kind of fast. I did a little oopsie here. So just be a little mindful, like take your time with your marker because you can erase that. It's okay. I might add a few, like maybe snow drifts, rocks, whatever you want to call them, just to add a little bit of things in the foreground. And now I'm thinking about the sky. Okay, so here's where it gets kind of fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my white piece of construction paper, and I am actually going to rip it. I know that sounds kind of funny, but I'm going to rip it across the paper like that. Okay? So now I'm going to use this to help me with my northern lights. Okay, I had to take a quick little break because Rascal was eating Bodhi's dinner and it was not going over well. So here I am again. I had just ripped this paper and now I'm going to use this to help me with my northern lights. So I'm going to now take a piece of my chalk and I'm going to put this down on my blue piece of paper. And okay, this is the part that I haven't tested, so I'm hoping it's going to go well. I'm going to use my chalk and I'm going to use it to draw lines from the part where I ripped up, up, up. So I'm just kind of like drawing. I don't know the best way to do this. We're going to find out soon. I'm going to keep going. This is something I've said before in past artworks we've done. It takes stamina, which means you got to stick with it because it takes a long time and it's easy to just kind of give up at this point and take shortcuts, but stick with it. It's going to look good, I promise. And try to hold it really still as you're drawing these lines. Oh, my hand's getting tired. You might need to shake it out. Okay, here I go. I'm at the end of my page here. Just gonna do one more little lap around. Ugh, my thumb is tired, so yours might be too. Just stretch it out, shake it out. Okay, so here I am. I've done my lines before. So let me just show you what it would look like if I lifted it up. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm going to take my tissue or toilet paper or paper towel and I'm going to kind of almost roll, not put it in a ball, but I'm going to squish it up like this so I can hold it in one hand. I'm going to, this might get messy, so keep in mind this might get messy. So if you have a fancy table, make sure you're in the just right spot. You're going to take your paper towel or whatever you have and you're just going to slide it upward like this. Slowly, slow motion, slide it up like this. Do you see all this chalk that's like coming off my paper? It gets messy. Sometimes art is messy and it's okay. I know that I'm going to be responsible for cleaning up this table when I'm done because I like to do art. So if you're at your house and you're using your grown-ups table and you make a mess like this, don't just leave it like that. Be responsible and clean it up. Okay, I'm gonna lift this up and you'll see, oh, look at that. It's like you see the lights shimmering up in the sky. I might just do a little bit more fading by taking whatever I'm using to rub against my paper. And I might just blend it a little bit more. Okay, so now I have my first color. I'm gonna take the same piece of paper. So here's what you can do. You have some options. You can take the same piece of paper, you can flip it over, so you have a little bit of a different design. You can keep the same design, or you can take the paper that you ripped and you can rip a new design. So it's up to you. It really doesn't matter. Northern lights are pretty magical. You really can't do them wrong, in my opinion. Okay, so I'm gonna put my paper down again. Now I'm gonna choose a different color. I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm just gonna go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. I'm gonna go across the whole top of the paper. I'm gonna keep going, keep going, keep going. Now that you saw what we're going to do, you understand why it doesn't need to look perfect with these lines, because once we take our paper towel or whatever we're using to blend, it completely transforms all those lines into northern lights. Okay, so I'm going to lift this up and see. So now we have another color going across our sky. Okay, I'm just going to flip this over, I think, this time. I'm going to do one more round of Northern Lights, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do at the base of my drawing. Okay, so I have yellow, I have purple. Now I need to decide, do I want pink or green? I think you can't go wrong. I'm going to choose green. Okay, so I'm going to take my chalk. I'm going to do lots of lines. No, okay, one thing I would recommend is when you're using your chalk, go up, 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 like that. If you go back and forth, you're gonna crumble your paper. So up, 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 up. Now this one, guess what I wanna do? I want to, well, actually first what I need to do is take my paper towel, stretch this chalk up into the sky. But now that I've done that, I'm going to take it and I'm going to move it over. I want to extend it a little bit, so I'm going to try and match it up as much as I can, like that. And I want this to go across my whole page this time. So I'm just going to reuse part of it. Okay. Going to stretch that up. All right, so now you can see again, I have a pretty good Northern Light here going on. If you want to do more colors, you can. It's completely up to you. And at the bottom of my paper, here's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I have my polar bear, which, as we all know, is white. So here's what I need to decide. Do I want to use my crayon or do I want to use chalk? I kind of like how this is looking, but I know it's going to be kind of cool to use a crayon as well. I think I'm going to stick with the chalk. So I'm going to color in my polar bear. And I'm going to do it like this, knowing I'm going to blend it with my paper towel. So I'm not doing quality coloring and completely coloring in like I would usually do, because I'm going to take a part of my paper towel. I'm going to fold it over so I don't get it green or whatever. And I'm going to slowly do circles with my white chalk to make this look like it's a little bit wider on my blue piece of paper, which is kind of cool. It is turning out pretty nice. Okay, there we go. Sometimes you have to kind of brush some of it aside. I would not recommend using your mouth and blowing all of this dust away, because it's going to make a mess. When we're all done, we can take it and maybe over the sink, pick it up, dump it out. I can do it on my table because I'm just going to clean it when I'm done, but I wouldn't blow it. It might get onto your carpet or something else. All right, so if you notice, this actually turned out pretty nice. So now I'm going to take my white and I'm going to do a few other things in my foreground. Let's see what this looks like. I'm going to just do some lines, and then I'm going to take my tissue again and just kind of move it across. I like how this looks because there's still some blue, but you can kind of see some white. All right, I don't think I'm going to use the crayons. And now I'm kind of thinking, well, since we have some colorful lights up here, maybe we want to do a little bit of color. Whoops. A little bit of color maybe down below where the polar bear is. And maybe we want some extra colors, like it's glowing. The snow is glowing from the Northern Lights. I'm going to take my paper towel or Kleenex or whatever I'm using again and blend it. And oh, I like this. This is kind of reminding me of the summers or the winters in the Arctic. How sometimes the summers you get lots of light, but in the winters it's nighttime pretty much all the time in the winter. So a lot of times when you see the northern lights, it glows down below and you can see it reflect off the snow. And that's why sometimes the polar bear's fur looks different colors, because its fur is translucent. It's not actually white, so it reflects the colors that are up in the sky. So here we go. We have our northern lights and our polar bear, our horizon line, and I love doing art. So thank you for bearing with me and testing out this new project, and I'm glad it turned out the way it did. I think all you need is chalk. I don't think you need crayons. So Sharpie and chalk is your two tools that you need. All right. I love it, and I will see you later.